Good evening, my fellow exorcists, and welcome to the Lair of the Film Exorcist. Tonight we will be taking a look at Up. 78-year-old Carl Fredricksen travels to Paradise Falls in his house equipped with balloons, inadvertently taking a young stowaway. Now before we get to my opinion, I'd like to take a few seconds to remember Ed Asner, the actor who played Carl Fredricksen and many other famous TV and movie roles. To be honest, without him, I don't think I would have enjoyed this movie as much as I did. So, rest in peace, Ed, and may you find paradise in the afterlife. Or at least your elf son in the afterlife. Yeah, Ed Asner played Santa Claus in the Elf movie. So, rest in peace, Ed Asner. Now let's move on to my opinion. I'm not gonna lie, like most people, this is one of my favorite Pixar movies to date. From the gorgeous opening that follows a very enjoyable relationship between two different people, Carl, a somewhat squared gentleman who comes from a very stiff family, and Ellie, a very excitable woman who looks for adventure at every turn and comes from a very eccentric family. I don't want to say redneck, despite that being the exact definition you'd use, but let's just go with eccentric, judging by the way they look in that church. These two shared one thing in common, and that was their love for the adventurer Charles Muntz, who was disgraced after scientists questioned his latest discovery. Now, surprisingly, this was just the beginning of Carl's story, because after the death of his wife, he decides it's time to finally fulfill the dream they both had, moving their home to Paradise Falls, South America, or Paradise Falls, Venezuela in South America, where Charles Muntz disappeared to, and so Carl prepares his house for travel, but not before he meets Russell, a young wilderness explorer who is looking to earn his Help the Elderly badge. And so, due to Russell stowing away, these two go on an amazing adventure to bring Carl's house to the other side of the falls. And along the way, they meet a bird named Kevin, a dog named Doug, and they encounter Carl's childhood hero, Charles Muntz, who, to be honest, has lost a few... He's missing a few acorns short of a tree, is the best thing I can think of off the top of my head. Or a few bolts away from being a full car. So as you can see, the story is pretty exciting. I mean, as we see in movies like Back to the Future and The Karate Kid, all you need is an old man, a young kid, and a very great journey to make a very memorable movie. And to be honest, I haven't met anyone who hasn't been captivated by this movie. I mean, the beginning alone has been stated as one of the best openings to a Disney Pixar movie. On top of this being one of the most interesting shots that Disney has taken against Universal Studios after Charles Mintz stole Oswald the Lucky Rabbit from Walt Disney in 1928, which led to Mickey Mouse being created. If you can see the parallel, Mintz stole Oswald, where Charles Muntz is afraid that Carl and many other adventurers and botanists and biologists were going to steal the bird from him and steal all his credit. So, oh, and if you haven't noticed, the tree that Ellie and Carl sit under is the exact same tree from A Bug's Life. This movie also did something very new for a Disney movie, and that was presenting the idea of characters' parents separating instead of continuing Disney's long line of widowed parents. I mean, a lot of the moms didn't just run away. Most of them died, so this is a big step up for Disney. But they do this by having Russell explain to Carl the strained relationship he has with his father, and Carl actually questions why he's calling his mother by her first name, to which Russell explains that Phyllis isn't his mother, revealing to us that his father is with someone else, or he's too busy at work, so his assistant has expressed many times that Russell needs to give his father some space. And judging by who was at the thing with Russell when Carl shows up, I'm pretty sure that's Russell's mother, so I'm pretty sure Russell lives with his mother, where his father is off doing work most of the time and lives with someone else. So yeah, this is very grown up for Disney for doing this instead of just killing off one of the parents. Oh, and if you haven't noticed, when Ellie's playing in the house, she plays out the exact events that Carl will go through, from using the same window to steer the house, to the same storm that Carl gets caught in, and finally, meeting Doug, which is a cool way of foreshadowing the events of a movie. Now, my favorite scene has to be the scene where Carl tries to escape the presence of Doug and Kevin, dragging Russell as far as they can go before turning his head to see Doug on one side and Kevin on the other. I've just always found these kinds of scenes to be hilarious, because despite the characters' efforts, they'll never be able to escape their companions. Plus, I just really love the early relationship between Doug and Carl, and these two actually are my two favorite characters out of the entire cast, which is why I can't wait to do a review on the new Pixar project, Doug Days. Cute name. I'd also like to state that I do love the little reference to the trench run in Star Wars, where the dogs are listing off their call signs similar to Red Squadron, and the planes crashing into each other is very similar to how one TIE fighter crashes into Darth Vader when the Millennium Falcon shoots its wing. Except in Star Wars, there are no parachutes. It's also very funny to see two old men fighting each other. I mean, to be honest, I don't think we've seen an old man fight as good as this one since that one episode of Boondocks where Grandpa fights Stinkmeaner in the parking lot. Yeah, it's just that good. I also think Charles Muntz is one of Pixar's darkest villains next to Syndrome because of all the people he's killed just so he can have the glory of finding Kevin the bird. I mean, we don't even know if these people were looking for Kevin. They could have just been doing their job as they stated, and Charles just overreacted, to be honest. I mean, I don't think we'll ever know the true answer because I don't think even Pixar is okay with showing multiple people dying in such a gruesome way. I've decided to give this movie the highest honor of being the first Pixar movie to gain a 10.5 out of 10.5 for being such a great movie that I enjoy coming back to every time I get the urge to watch a Pixar movie. And I mean, the opening montage deserves at least a 10 out of 10 alone for being an amazing depiction of a great marriage and a real tearjerker. And the characters are just that good. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, click the little notification bell, and if you do all 4 of these actions, maybe we'll finally see Kevin again. So have a great night, and rest in peace, Ed Asner. You will be deeply missed.